So I'm here with John Pruitt, John Milton Pruitt, the author of Tales of the Tide. John, you were telling me earlier that this is your happy place. What do you mean by happy place?
Well, this is the place, when I'm here, I don't think about being anywhere else. And thank you for mentioning the Milton part. That was my mother's father's first name, so he was quite a man and quite an outdoorsman as well.
Tell me about some of the special memories you might have in some of these places, some of the places that are in Tales of the Tide.
Oh gosh, kind of hard to narrow it down. A lot of them have been right here on this dock. I remember my 40th birthday party, which was several years ago. Had all of my best friends out here, and my daughter, who at that point was, I guess, 7. She walked right up that dock, down that dock, and out on the floating part of the dock, and threw a cast net, the most beautiful cast net, right in front of all my friends, and I could not have been more proud of her. And they were amazed that a 7-year-old girl could throw a cast net like that. Most of those guys couldn't do it. So, just so many memories. They sound, simple, but so many memories like that. Really out here on the water, I'll never forget.
Does she still enjoy throwing a net every now and then?
She does. She does, and she's still good at it. She's better than I am at it. I think she enjoys being here as much as I do, and looks forward to us, coming as often as we can.
Tell me about some other memories, other tales.
Oh, more Tales of the Tide. Well, when my father was living, the last, 5 or 6 years of his life, they lived in Maryland. I grew up in Maryland. This was kind of a halfway point for us. So he and I would jump in that little boat and go out to the jetties and fish, and I don't think there was anything that he'd rather do than catch a spot-tailed bass. They call them puppy drum up in Maryland, but he and I spent a lot of time out there on the water together, and over there at that bait cleaning station, cleaning fish, and then up on the dock or up on the porch frying them up. So memories here with my dad have been special.
Is he the one that taught you most of what you know about fishing and marsh life?
He did. He taught me. He taught me quite a bit. He gave me the passion for it as much as anything else. Like I said, I grew up on the eastern shore of Maryland, and all of my friends and family enjoyed this. But he just had a passion for it that thank goodness was handed down to me, and hopefully down to my family as well. So that, as much as anything, he taught me a love for this place.
So what made you want to write a book about it?
Oh gosh, crazy enough to try to write a book. Well, I've thought about it for a long time. Like I said, we live in Atlanta now, and it's a wonderful town, big city. It's been a blessing for us, a great career. Love our church, our friends. But writing stories about places like this just brought me closer. This is where my heart is. This is where I go to in my mind when I'm looking for peace and tranquility. And so as I started to pencil some of the stories, really as just an attempt to do that, I had the idea for maybe putting them together and putting them in a book.
Sounds like part of why you wanted to write this book was not only to share your love for these kind of places, but you also wanted to teach a little bit about this lifestyle out here.
Sure. Well, I certainly have a lot more to learn. There's plenty of people that know a lot more about this than I do. But when we brought friends here, friends from Atlanta and other places, and they've caught their first blue crab, they've found their first clam in the sand, caught the first trout, seeing the colors of the marsh. I mean, it occurred to me that, gosh, if this book could help those that aren't as familiar with, places like this, learn more about it and appreciate it, understand it. This is one of the most important, these salt marshes are one of the most important, ecological components of the earth and almost everything that lives on it and in it. So, yeah, part of it is to educate and maybe bring a little more awareness to places like this.
So you grew up in the Chesapeake Bay. Between there and here, what are some other gorgeous spots that you've explored throughout your life?
Oh gosh, I've been to most places between the Chesapeake and Savannah. And that's just the beauty of the Mid-Atlantic and Southeastern coast. There's one hamlet after the next, from Ocracoke Island, on the Outer Banks, to Tybee Island in Georgia, McClellanville, where Hurricane Hugo hit, is an amazing fishing village. Murrells Inlet, this is my favorite, where we are right now. But there are dozens of places, some that are more popular than others, but full of people that live off the water and love this as much as we do. And I would encourage people to, do what I've done and my family's done, is just sort of get in the car and visit as many of them as you can.
Now, you mentioned people that live off the water. One thing that always comes to mind for me is how many people over the course of thousands of years have been living off of these places, living off of these environments. And tell us maybe a little bit of the history, some of the historical aspects that really speak to you about this place.
Yeah, well, I'm certainly no historian, but I am drawn to the history of Native American Indians that lived, here, the Waccamaw Indians, Jacora Indians, Winyah, the Winyah tribe. I mean, this was not sport for them. This is where they lived, and they got out there and they pulled oysters and trapped crabs and fished and caught shrimp, and that was a way of life for them. It was life for them, and it's just fascinating to me that all happened in the same place that you and I went fishing this morning. And it's and there's so much more history. Old ghost stories and abandoned boats out in the marsh, history that people haven't even written about. So I'm fascinated by all that.
This is a popular area. A lot of people come down to Myrtle Beach, come down to Charleston, spend a vacation, a week on the beach. I feel like there's a lot that people are missing about this place. What are some things that maybe most overlook?
Well, they overlook this. I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with spreading your beach towel, out on the beach and looking at the ocean all day. It's beautiful over there. Sunrise on the beach is breathtaking. But a lot of people don't know, just steps from the beach, particularly in an area like this, Garden City, where the marsh and the beach are only separated by a few hundred yards. There's dozens of things to do out there. You can go clamming and crabbing and fishing and look at migratory birds and shorebirds, and you can get in a kayak, and gosh, it's just limitless. And I feel like maybe too many people overlook this, spend all day on the beach and don't think about being back here on the back, we call it, and it's just fascinating. Low tide is one of the most interesting things you'll ever see, with the oysters and snails and all the life that's sort of below the marsh grass. It's just amazing.
I understand what you mean by that. As a photographer, coming out here in a kayak, it seems like around every bend there's something new to see. There's every single hour of the day there's something different that you can get, and that's the beauty of this ever-changing marsh, especially for someone like me who just has to have a camera in his hand the whole time.
Oh yeah,
it's a great spot to be.
Yeah, and it is ever changing. I mean, one of the things I love about the salt marsh is that it is a different color every day. You know, just the change in the wind, the change in the weather, the change in the seasons. I mean, that grass, that Spartina grass, is just a different shade of beautiful every time you look at it. And I don't think there's been a day that I've been out on the water where I didn't see something that I'd never seen before. And that's what I love about it. It gives you a gift every time you're out in it.
You know, a lot of people think of summertime when they think of coming down to a place like this, but it's early January, a cold, blustery, windy day, but we went out there and we caught more fish than I've ever seen. You know, it's something cool that every month of the year there's something special going on out here that you can have an incredible time in any time of day, any time of year.
Oh, it's true. I mean, the cycles of this place are just amazing. You know, spring brings you things that fall doesn't, and summer is wonderful and warm, but you know, days like this when it's quiet, you know, in the middle of the winter, and it's not that cold. I mean, gosh, we were out on the boat several hours this morning. Again, it's just different, and the cycles are just so amazing. There's not a month that I wouldn't want to be here.
Tell me a little bit. Let's get back to the book. Tell me a little bit more about Tales of the Tide and what the audience can expect out of the book.
Yeah, well, I guess some would call it a coffee table book. I don't really know what to call it, but there's mostly short stories about my experiences from, you know, Maryland to Savannah, or Maryland to the Low Country. Stories about old watermen, interesting stories about those that have lived their entire lives, you know, within sight of places like this. Recipes. There is some how-to in the book. How to throw a cast net, you know, how to tie certain knots, how to get yourself out of trouble, because there's certainly, you know, there's trouble to be had out there in the marsh. There are some dangers and some tricks. But I think what makes it different is that the art associated with the book has been commissioned. Bruce Chandler, a good friend, has painted a depiction of each of the stories. It might be of a fisherman throwing a cast net, or it could be of the Garden City Pier. It could be of just the water, and so she has done a wonderful job sort of capturing, you know, the essence of a lot of the stories. And then you, my good friend Marsh Dean, the videographer, has put together these short video segments, films about the story and that relate to the art. So it really gives you the total experience from story to art to video, where hopefully those that read the book and launch the video, you know, through the QR code or the YouTube address, feel like they're almost here. Feel like they can almost see it and smell it and feel it and taste it. That would be a success if that happened.
I can say I've certainly never read a book like it, and to be able to read these stories, to be able to also view beautiful local artwork by a well-known local artist, and then to also get a glimpse into these videos to see in action you know, the little bits and pieces of these stories that you're reading about, it's pretty spectacular. I know that the audience is really going to enjoy it. We're just all excited to release it. So now that you're a big famous author,
Oh, yeah.
what's next? What's
Yeah.
around the corner?
Oh gosh, I don't know. I want to see how this plays out. See how people respond to it. And one of my goals is to get feedback from those that have read the book and seen your wonderful videos. They're amazing videos, things that you've captured, and see what they tell us. You know, see how they respond to it. See if they want more of it. See if they learn from it. But I've got an idea for possibly a second book at some point. But this is a maiden voyage for me as an author, and I want to see how this plays out. But regardless of how many books are sold and how many people have read it, it's already been a success for me, because it has, again, it's allowed me to, even though I spend most of my time in Atlanta now, it's allowed me to feel like I'm more connected to this place, and for that I'm grateful.
Well, I'm sure at the end of the day you'll still be out there on the dock, casting some lures out.
Look at there. Now, if that's not an example, look at that beautiful bird. I will. If I'm here, I'm usually out here. So, yeah, I usually count the days till when I cross that Causeway Bridge again, so that I can spend more time out here.
Well, is there anything else you'd like to tell your faithful viewers? Any other news, tips, or tricks?
Oh gosh, I hope that they will read the book, enjoy the book, and I hope that they will come here or come to a place like this. There are so many of them. Again, my experience has been between the Chesapeake Bay and the Low Country, but basically anything coastal to me is fascinating. Any place coastal, and if it just makes that crab taste a little sweeter, or makes that picture seem a little more important, or brings you a little closer to a family member or friend, then this place has done its job.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure working on this project, and it's changed my view of things a little bit. It gives me a greater appreciation of this place. It seems like every time you come out here, you fall a little more in love with it, and in love with the wildlife and everything about it. So it's been great, and yeah, we're just excited to share this with so many people out there.
Well, we are too, and you've been a big part of it, Marsh. The video stories are what makes this book, truly different. I don't think there's, to my knowledge, a book out there like this that has that, sequence of stories and art and video, and it would not have been possible without you and my good friend Bruce. Her art has been amazing. So it's been a team effort, and you've been a big part of the team.
Thanks for taking us fishing today. It was a great day. Thank all of y'all for watching. Please check out Tales of the Tide. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're going to be releasing cool clips along the way until the release in early April. So if you're interested in seeing a live trout being caught, or maybe a clam bake, just follow us on Facebook. That's Tales of the Tide, and we really look forward to the book release and just sharing more with you.